So Colorado is not a place that comes to mind when you think sailing, but 5280 magazine's new August issue is showing us where to go and teaching us how to catch the wind. Joining me this morning for our crash course in sailing is 5280 magazine contributor Jay Bouchard. Thanks so much for coming in.
Of course, thanks for having me.
This is such an interesting article because, again, a lot of people don't think Colorado and sailing, but you have found that there is a big sailing community here.
Yeah, there's really a robust community, and people think it's like owning a snowmobile in Texas when you say you have a sailboat here. But we have a lot of lakes and reservoirs and a huge community, whether you're on Cherry Creek here in Denver or Chatfield, or you go up into the mountains, you're up at Dillon, or you keep going to Blue Mesa Reservoir. Tons of sailors, a lot of people really excited about catching wind.
You kind of talk about your story a little bit in here, but how did you even come across writing this article?
Yeah, so it was a total whim. I was on Facebook Marketplace a Sunday afternoon. I found a cheap sailboat, $140, and I said, you know what, why not? Brought it home, started fixing it up, and then I learned how to sail. Perhaps not in the best way, and the article is a lot about that. It's about all the mistakes I made along the way, but the magazine reached out and said, hey, it looks like you're having fun out there. Do you want to write about it? And it turned into, a story for the magazine in August, which has been so much fun.
Yeah, it's a really great article. It talks about kind of the mistakes that you made.
Yeah.
It talks about the lingo. You go really in depth about, because the lingo is really important in sailing.
It is. It is. We're not talking about ropes. We're talking about lines. It's not right. It's starboard.
Right.
But there's a lot, even in our modern vernacular. 3 sheets to the wind is a sailing term. Ship shape. Your ship's coming in, all of these things. But for me, it was a huge learning curve, and I still get most of it wrong. I'm a new sailor, and I'm trying to figure out, but people in Colorado are really patient.
Well, and Colorado's kind of a difficult state to learn this in because, and you talk about this, the weather can be really tough for us here.
It can, and if you're sailing on the coast, you benefit often from prevailing winds.
Right.
Wind blowing west to east all day long, and, storms kick up. But, as 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi told me as I was reporting the story, the Rocky Mountains interrupt everything. So weather comes through here, hits the mountains, and it starts swirling. And wind can come from any direction, anytime. The wind can shift. The big storms come through. We know that from the mountains. So you have to be really, really careful in Colorado.
You do. Have you taken Chris out with you yet?
I have not, actually. I have offered him a sunset cruise for him and his newlywed. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and he has said, no, keep practicing.
I think he'll cash in that voucher at one point.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you set out on this venture and you bought this $140 sailboat or whatever it was, did you think that it would be easier than it is?
I thought it would be a little bit easier than it was, because so many people are doing it, so how hard can it be? I would say the first couple outings were really difficult because you're just not used to having wind hitting your boat and turning you, right? It doesn't feel natural. It's getting easier though. And I will say there are a lot of resources in Colorado to help make it easier. A lot of sailing schools, a lot of really kind sailors who will help you. I wish I had availed myself of some of those resources. I probably should have.
Well, your article is so wonderful. I grew up sailing, and it was so great looking back and remembering all the terms. It's been a long time since I've been out sailing, and sailing is such a peaceful, beautiful thing to do, especially in Colorado. Tell us real quick about an event that's happening this weekend.
Yeah, so up on Lake Dillon, the Timberline Cruiser Regatta, which is just a fun race. It's really not about winning. People dress in pirate garb. There's a mermaid out on the lake, and you're supposed to impress the mermaid, and that's how you score points. So that'll be happening this weekend. And then later this month is the Dillon Open, which is the big regatta in Colorado. I think it's the biggest fleet. People come from all over the country and all over the world to race the Dillon Open.
It's a big deal. All right, so all of the information is in 5280's August issue right now. It's really good. It's really in depth, so check it out. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
Really appreciate it.